to go back to the year 2008. It was a Friday evening, and I fell asleep. And I woke up the next morning, or so I thought, and the sun was shining in my bedroom. Brighter than normal, brighter than usual. And I thought, oh, that's unusual. And I fell back asleep just like that. Sometime later, I woke up, I don't know how much later, but it was 3:30 in the morning. And I thought, that was really unusual. And something happened to me that doesn't happen very often. But the Lord spoke to my heart and said, I want you to write a book. And I went, okay. And I thought, okay, well, here's my chance to write an autobiography, because for several years I'd given my testimony in many churches, and people had requested that I write an autobiography. So I assumed that that's what the Lord wanted me to write about. And so I went in the back porch where I had him closed, and it was March, April, and so it was still a little bit cool out, and this was in Arkansas. And as I started writing, I just kept writing, and about 5 hours later, I was still writing. And I thought, oh, it's time to go to church. And I thought, I looked, and I read, and I said, Lord, this isn't an autobiography. And it was a story on the end times. And I said, I'd never even considered writing a book on the end times before. And I said, that's really unusual. And so, long story short, over the period of a few months, I had written a book, and I had a lot of help because I am not an English expert, no sense of the term. And if Amy read the book, she said that needs a lot of corrections. But I had friends, some of you know Sharon Clark. I think you know Sharon Clark. She offered to help edit it and punctuation and everything. Put everything together, and then I had to think of a name. And I thought, I kept coming up with these names. And I had a friend who was a conference evangelist and also author. And so I asked him, and I said, what do you think of this name? And he went, and I said, I'm having a hard time figuring out a name for this book. And then all of a sudden one day it came to me, Global Meltdown. And I went, Global Meltdown. So, wow. And I went back to him and I said, what do you think? And he went, yeah, that's the name. And ended up with that sometime later. And after self-publishing it through Teach Services, Remnant Publications came along and offered to write it. And long story short, they produced it. I got a box of them, and at the time I was working in the same job that I'm in now, but I was in Louisiana, South Louisiana, and told the church members about it, and several of them got some copies. And one particular individual, who's still a friend, offered it to his parents, who would never come to church. They were good Catholic, Bible-believing, or I should say good Catholic people, but they wouldn't come to our Adventist church. So they read it, and he came back all excited, and he said, they really enjoyed your book. And I said, wow. You know, and as I reviewed the book, I didn't even think about doctrinally or anything, any of the doctrines that we hold dear that are out of the scriptures. But as I reviewed it, it had 99%, if not all, of the doctrines that we hold as Seventh-day Adventists in the book. And I went, wow, Lord, you really did something tremendous, because that's not me. And it ended up that since that time, I've been able to give out many books over the years to individuals. I go into homes, and even evangelists have used these in their seminars to give out as free books. And I said, Lord, you're so good, you know, because it has nothing to do with me, right? If the Lord does something through us, is it us that does it? It's not. We're just obedient. We just follow the Lord's direction, right? I've gone into homes, and they've come back to me, whether it be Baptist, Pentecostal, Catholic, off the top of my head, And many of them came back to me and said, "We passed it around the church." And even Baptist ministers. And I said, "Wow, that's amazing." Praise the Lord. And so my thought is that regardless of, many of us have different gifts. Would you agree with that? How many of you are up front speakers could come up here with no problem? I see your hands. No, there's a couple. Okay. Not many are speakers who like to come up front. Some of us, we've got other ministries, and ministries that people don't see, like in the kitchen. You get me in a kitchen for a fellowship dinner, and what's going to happen? You're not going to have another fellowship dinner. I guarantee it. If they know that I'm cooking, that's just not my gift. So the Lord has many areas that we can witness for Him in what we do, and.